Welcome to the Digital Studio, everyone. Today we are stepping into an elite academic masterclass focused squarely on a make-or-break topic for Cambridge AS and A-level candidates. We are talking about the preparation of ledger accounts for Syllabus 9706. If you are prepping to sit for this exam, you are in exactly the right place. We are going to deconstruct the exact expectations of Cambridge examiners, totally bypass the fluff, and look directly at the cognitive strategies that separate average candidates from top-tier scholars. I've got the interactive holographic smartboard fired up, and we are going to dissect complex questions, master time allocation, and deploy critical thinking strategies based on real examiner reports. Get ready to elevate your exam strategy to a whole new level.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structured syllabus for today. First, we'll cover the 15% stakes. Next, we are mastering core principles, followed by the execution framework, and finally, we'll wrap up with avoiding examiner traps.
Section 1. The 15% stakes, understanding the weight. 15%. That is roughly the massive percentage of total marks that ledger accounts command in Paper 2 of your Cambridge 9706 exam. This isn't just some minor subtopic you can afford to gloss over the night before. This is a foundational, structural pillar of your final grade. Leaving points on the table here is literally not an option if you are aiming for those top marks. To show you what I mean, I'm pulling up a complex, high-tariff, 15-mark sample question on our interactive board right now. When you see a question carrying that kind of weight, the very first thing you have to do is break down the anatomy of the command words. We have to deeply contrast what the examiner is asking. When they say analyze, they want you to break the financial data into its component parts. But when they shift to evaluate, that is a completely different ballgame. Evaluate means you need to judge the data, weigh the pros and cons, and come to a justified conclusion. It's the same with explain versus to what extent. Explain is just giving reasons, but to what extent requires you to build a structured argument showing the limits of those reasons. Look at the digital highlighter I'm using on the screen here. I'm isolating the command word in yellow, the core content knowledge in blue, and, this is crucial, the hidden constraints of the prompt in red. If you miss those constraints, you lose the top marks before you even pick up your calculator. But that brings us to a critical question I really want you to ask yourself. Why do students find multi-stage analysis and method marks so incredibly hard? Is it because the math is impossible? Rarely. To understand this, let's bring in a simulation with two of my top scholars. Let's call them Alex and Sam. We are in our collaborative digital studies suite working on this exact 15-mark question. Alex is highly technical. Alex excels at memorizing formulas and facts, but struggles with open-ended evaluation. Sam, on the other hand, is our creative thinker, really strong at arguments and the big picture, but struggles with structural precision and timing. So Alex immediately looks at the board and says, "Coach, we just need to rote memorize the T-account structure. It's a static grid of numbers. We just punch them in." But Sam steps in and argues, "No, wait, if we just treat it like a static grid, we miss the narrative. The examiner wants us to show the dynamic flow of financial events." And Sam is absolutely right. When you just rely on memorized facts, you fail to adopt the examiner's analytical perspective.
Section 2. Core principles, the theoretical architecture. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the method marks strategy. The Cambridge syllabus makes this explicitly clear. You earn exam marks by successfully demonstrating the systematic, analytical process rather than just arriving at the final mathematical answer. Let's go back to our digital study suite with Alex and Sam. Alex is frustrated. Alex says, "But what if I mess up the very first calculation? The whole ledger is wrong, right? I lose all 15 marks." This is exactly where the debate gets intense. I have to step in and correct Alex. No. If you make a minor arithmetic error early on, but you apply the correct theoretical architecture and accounting principles to your flawed figure throughout the rest of the ledger, examiners will systematically award your method marks. This is how you unlock those top-tier marking bands, assessment objectives AO1, AO2, and AO3. You have to prove you understand the causal relationships in the accounts. This systematic process matters just as much as that final number at the bottom of the page.
And speaking of unlocking marks, look at this finding straight from the principal examiner reports. Cross-topic connections unlock significantly higher marks. Now, right before we tackle the absolute hardest part of this ledger problem, I need to pause our session for just a second. If you want to absolutely crush your Cambridge exams, you need consistent strategy. So right now, hit that subscribe button for the channel Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A levels. That's at Ace the Exam _IGCSE and enable all notifications. You'll see the little visual pop-up animation of the subscribe button and notification bell clicking on your screen right now. Make sure you do that so you never miss our weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies. Okay, let's jump back into the simulation. Alex and Sam are now actively drafting a model response, paragraph by paragraph, on the digital board. They realize that this ledger question doesn't exist in a vacuum. It rests on integration with other syllabus areas. They are showing the examiner exactly how a depreciation adjustment ripples through the ledger and ultimately impacts the wider financial statements.
And this brilliantly illustrates the divide between average and top-performing candidates. But suddenly, on our digital board, Alex and Sam hit a massive roadblock. They've done the math, but they are struggling with timing and linking their paragraphs together. Alex wants to just list isolated facts to save time. Sam is trying to write a massive essay that is totally unmoored from the context. They are stuck. So I use the picture-in-picture feature here to pause their session. I step in and say, look at the cognitive strategy you need right here. The average candidate forces a memorized template of isolated facts, but the top-performing candidate exhibits connected, transferable understanding. I take the digital pen and we rewrite their flawed section out loud together. Instead of just saying the balance carried down is X, we link it directly to the stimulus material. We show how that specific balance affects the liquidity of this specific business. We transition their mediocre generic answer into a flawless, full-mark, context-driven response. When the examiner throws a curveball, your connected conceptual framework is what saves you.
Section 3. The execution framework. Systematic processing.
Let's move into an immersive workshop segment. I want you, the viewer, fully engaged here. Let's look at the first 3 procedural steps of our execution framework. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. Step 2. Extract relevant data. Step 3. Select your analytical framework. We are going to do a pause and practice exercise. On the screen right now, I'm displaying Visual Question 1, a complex data and source analysis chart. Imagine a 60-second visual countdown timer ticking down in the corner. Go! You have to sift through this text and extract exactly what you need. Time's up. Let's dissect the correct path. I'm using the digital highlighter again. Did you catch the specific dates in the stimulus material? Did you identify the command word before you started writing? Data interpretation is absolutely critical. You have to select your analytical framework and decide which accounting principles apply before you write a single digit down. Let's move to the next phase and see how this builds. Step 4, execute with clear notation. Step 5, verify results. Step 6, present with correct terminology. Let's do our second pause and practice scene. This one is called Spot the Flaw. I am putting a poorly written actual student answer on the board. You have exactly 30 seconds to find the 3 major errors in their execution. Ready? Go. Look closely at the notation. Look at the terminology. All right, let's systematically highlight the traps the examiner set. First flaw, the student didn't show their working, meaning they just lost all their method marks. Second flaw, they didn't verify the results. They left a massive credit balance in an account where that logically makes absolutely no sense for this type of business. They didn't check for reasonableness. And the third flaw, their terminology was incredibly sloppy.
Which brings us perfectly to this slide. Examiners demand strict presentation conventions, proper headings, correct terminology, appropriate formats, and clear annotation. Your dates must be completely accurate. Balances brought down and carried down must be clearly and distinctly labeled. If your ledger account looks like a chaotic scratch pad, you are literally bleeding technical marks, even if your underlying math is 100% solid. Do not give away easy marks just because you rushed the formatting.
Section 4, avoiding top examiner traps, evaluation and insights. Straight from the source, these are the top 3 principal examiner warnings where students consistently lose points. Number 1, answers are too vague. Examiners require specific details. Number 2, candidates forget to check format and presentation, which we just exposed in our Spot the Flaw workshop. But number 3, this is the big one. This is the most heavily penalized trap of all. Answers are generic and not specific to the given context. Listen to me carefully on this. If you write a beautiful textbook explanation of a ledger entry, but you do not relate it to the specific business scenario provided in the prompt, congratulations, you've just written a brilliant answer for a completely different exam, and you will score 0 for evaluation. Under the intense pressure of a timed exam, it is so easy to fall into those traps. So here is a highly effective memory hack. Create a custom acronym for the key procedural steps and presentation rules we've covered today. Literally, the second the exam begins, write that acronym at the top of your scratch paper. Use it as an instant recall checklist. Have I checked the dates? Are the balances labeled? Is the context applied? This guarantees your ledger accounts meet every single strict examiner requirement without you having to stress about remembering it mid-calculation. Let's bring Alex and Sam back in to share their breakthroughs. Looking at these higher-order assessment objectives, Alex realizes, I was stuck on the descriptive level.
I was just identifying given information. That's why I wasn't getting past a C grade. And Sam notes, right, to get the A star, we have to push into the analytical level, comparing approaches, and finally, the evaluative level. To secure top marks, you must actively question assumptions and justify your recommendations with concrete evidence derived from your ledger accounts. To synthesize this entire masterclass, I want to give you 3 core memorable pillars. Pillar 1, the 3-step question scan. Always isolate the command word, content, and constraints before starting. Pillar 2, the paragraph balance formula. Ensure every mathematical calculation is paired with a contextual explanation. And Pillar 3, well, we'll get to that in just a second.
Because Pillar 3 ties directly into this ultimate examiner alert. The classic mistake is providing generic answers. Always link every point to the given scenario. So Pillar 3 is your last 5 minutes review checklist. You must use the last 5 minutes of your exam to strictly verify that every single point you made links back to the scenario. Context-specific justification is everything. Your knowledge of the theoretical architecture of accounting is just the starting line. How you apply those principles to the unique, messy business problems sitting on the desk in front of you, that is the finish line. I want to leave you with this final, provocative question. When you sit down to tackle your next Cambridge Pass paper, are your ledger accounts just a static grid of numbers, or are they a dynamic narrative, a set of evidence-based recommendations built on precise methodology and deep evaluative analysis? Remember, crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, elite strategy. If you want to keep mastering these frameworks, you need to hit that subscribe button right now for Ace the Exams IGCSE O&A at acetheexam_IGCS. Turn on that notification bell so you never miss our high-stakes exam hacks, and drop a comment below right now with your target grade so we can hold you accountable. Elevate your strategy, focus on the process, and I will see you in the next masterclass.